Yeah. Yeah. Most of you have sent their handwriting sample, which looks very good actually, better than I expected actually. So it's very good. So I think all of you actually know, or at least read and write, identify these Devanagari letters, scripts. So that is good.
I haven't sent a handwriting. We had to copy something and send it to you?
Yeah, in my last post class email, I had sent an attachment. So you can copy it, or you can write anything. It doesn't matter. You can write.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for telling me. I'll be doing that.
All right, let's start. Who wants to read that? Shiva, do you want to read this? Read the shloka here.
I'll have a try.
Okay.
Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha Yatra Parto Danudharaha Tatra Srir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matir Mamama.
Anybody else want to try?
I can try.
Yes, Shiva.
Yeah. Yatra Yogeshwara. I always get problem pronouncing that one. Krukne.
So you can read this one. You can read this one, Shiva, because Vivekananda, they already read that one. Okay. So you can read this one.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Yatra, same thing.
Okay. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishnaha Yatra Partaha Danurdra Daraha Tatra Shri Vigneshwara.
So let me simplify this. Okay.
Tatra Shri Vijayaha Bhutihi Dhruva Nitihi Matihi Mama.
Yeah. Good. So, yeah, I think sometimes it is confusing, right? This ya and tha, because they look same. This is ya and this is tha. So tha has a loop there, the beginning.
Yes.
And the other one is like the dha and gha. So this is gha and this is dha. Gha is a loop. And the one was like a sha. Sha, I noticed. The sha is sometimes written like this, or in some different fonts it also starts with a loop at the top.
Oh, so
like
that Shah is, I was having real difficulty. I couldn't figure out if it was Shah in the handwriting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good you mentioned that even before I ask.
Yeah, and others, the compound letter is ksha. So this is nothing but a combination of k and sh while pronouncing the Vyanjanam or half k and then sh. K, sh together, sh. Okay, so this sloka picked up from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, number 78. Yatra Yogeshwaraha. So the top, this on the first here, written here is the shloka, the original shloka, and here is the same shloka, but there are some sandhis happening here, and the words are separated here. So, for example, if you see this one is Krishno, and here it is Krishnaha. So both mean the same thing, but because of sandhi, sandhi means joining. Joining happens between the letters or the words when they are closely pronounced. So when we pronounce Krishnaha and Yatra very close enough, means continuously, then it changes to Krishno Yatra. But if there is a gap in between, then in the gap in the sense while pronouncing, while talking, so then it will remains Krishnaha, Krishnaha Yatra. Similarly, Partho Dhanurdharaha. If there is a gap, pause between the two words, pronunciation of the two words, then it remains Parthaha, which is the original word, and Dhanurdhara. But if they are pronounced closely, continuously, Partho Dhanurdharaha, then it changes to Partho. Meaning of this is shloka in the simple words is, where there is a Yogeshwara Krishna. Yogeshwara means the master of yogas. Where there is Krishna, who is master of yogas, and where there is Partha, who is a Dhanurdhara. Dhanurdhara means who is carrying a bow. Tatra means there. Shrihi Vijayaha Bhutihi. Shri means wealth, Vijayaha, the win, and Bhutihi. Bhuti is also wealth, the materialistic wealth and general wealth, and all these things will be certainly there. This is my opinion. This is what the person who is narrating the Bhagavad Gita is saying. So where there is Yogeshwara, the master of yogas, Krishna, and where there is Arjuna, who is carrying the bow, Dhanuhu means bow, there the wealth, the win, and again the overall wealth will be Dhruva means for certain, will be there. Nitihi means it is my understanding. Matihi mama is my opinion. Dhruva nitihi. Dhruva nitihi means certainly that is the way. So these shlokas, especially in Bhagavad Gita, they have multiple meanings. And this is like a simple word-to-word meaning. But another meaning could be like Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Krishna, who is the master of yogas, and the yogas, yoga, the word itself has many meanings. So Ishvaraha and Krishna. Krishna, the word meaning, this is the name of the person here, Krishna, but meaning of the word is who attracts, is one of the meanings. and who uh, pulls everything with him or towards him is that one mean. Towards him becomes attraction, and with him carries all everything with him. That another meaning. So, and only that such a person could be the master of the universe. And yatra partha dhanurdhara, where the partha here is referring on the face of it is referring to Arjuna. It's the name of the person. Another name for Arjuna is Partha, who is carrying the bow. But philosophically speaking, it applies to Partha. So here the name Partha is used for Arjuna. Partha means people who belong to this earth. The person who belongs to this earth is Partha, because this earth is called Prithvi. So the person who belongs to Prithvi is Partha. So this is addressing any general anybody on this earth. So anybody who is on this earth with the Dhanurdhara, who is carrying a bow, which again would mean who is ready to attempt. Who is ready to attempt, Dhanurdhara, who is who is ready to work or ready to try. So that kind of person, where these two things unite to come together. There is a willingness to try, willingness to work, and where there is also the blessings of the Master of the Universe. There, certainly Shri, wealth, and the win, conquer, all those good things are certainly going to happen. So we have looked at some simple words. So hopefully all of you are able to remember at least some words. Like Balakaha, Balika, Kandukaha, Vimanam, etc. And we also looked at some simple words like Saha, Eshaha. Right? Saha, Eshaha means Saha is used for that, something which is away, and this will be in masculine gender. Saha, Eshaha for which is closer but with masculine gender, Eshaha. Sa, Esha. Right? And if it is Sa, Esha is used and for away and close things, nearby things, if it is in feminine gender. And Tat and Etat, these are used for Tat and Etat are used for again away and closer things if for the words which are in neutral gender. And we have looked at these words also. Atra, Kutra, Tatra, Anyatra, Sarvatra. Atra means here, Tatra there, Kutra where, Anyatra elsewhere, Sarvatra everywhere. And we looked at some examples. Karadeepaha kutra asti, etc. Vayuhu sarvatra asti. And we also looked at Tarhi. Tarhi means in that case. Esha ka, Esha balika. Esha ka, Esha balika. That is the answer. Tarhi, in that case, balakaha kutra asti. Where is the boy? Balaka. Anyatra asti. Balaka is elsewhere. And these are some examples we saw. There was a homework on this. I did not check I mean, today, how many of you responded to this homework? And we briefly looked at this declension table. So a noun which is called nama padam in Sanskritam can have one of the three genders. Right? So it could be masculine, which is called pullinga, and or it could be strilinga, or it could be napunsakalinga. One of the three genders. Every noun will have one of the three genders, and every noun will have this declension table. Means one of so when we need to use a nama padam or a noun in a sentence, then we need to use one of these forms from this table, from such a table. So every noun will have such a table. So what this indicates? The columns indicates vachanam or the number. So as we know, in Sanskrit there are three numbers. So singular, dual and plural. Ekavachanam, dvivachanam and bahuvachanam. So when there is only one object of that noun, then we use the singular form of the noun. When there are two objects, then we use dvivachana form of that noun, which is in the second column here. And if there are more than two, then we use bahuvachana form or plural form, which is in the third column of the table. Now, the rows here, the lines, horizontal lines indicate the ending case of that noun. So they are just numbered here. They are called by the numbers. The lines are called by the numbers. Like prathama is, so the first one is called prathama. Prathama means first case. Second, this is called ditiya, means it is second case. Tritiya means third case. This chaturthi means fourth case. Panchami fifth case. Shashti sixth case. Saptami seventh case. And there is one called Sambodhanam. It is not a separate case. It is a variation of Prathama or the first case. Sambodhanam is calling. It is used when this form is used when calling somebody or addressing somebody. So that form is used. So the general meaning of each of these lines, or they are called vibhakti or the cases, they are given here. So what this first case means, what is this sambodhanam is calling, we know that. What is the second case means, general meanings are given here. So but in the language, in practice, each of these cases might be used in some other way also. Some, not only these which are shown here, not strictly in this way, but could be used in some other way also. But this is the general idea you can get from this meaning which is shown here. So this table is shown here only for this Rama word, and Rama word, the root word here, which is called Moola Shabda, or the root word, is Akaranta Pullinga. Rama means Rama is the root word. Rama is the root word, which means it is a masculine in gender and it is ending in a sound, right? That's when we say Rama, the ending sound is a. So every noun in Sanskritam, in the language, can have one of these 24 forms. which is shown on this table. And depending on the gender of the root word and the sound in which it ends, the root word ends, the forms could be different for that noun. For example, if you take phala, phala means fruit. Phala is fruit. So this is the ending word. This is the root word, and the ending sound is a here. But the gender is neuter here, Napunsakalinga Shabda, or the neuter word. So in this case, the table or the forms, the declension table or the forms for these 8 vibhaktis or 7 vibhaktis, and then 3 genders will be different. So we'll have to look at the table and use it. Now, so the general meanings are shown here, like for Tritiya, for example, wherever we want to use like by or with something. So I am going with my friend, then I use this form, Tritiya form. I am going somewhere with my friend. I use Tritiya form. So example is, I am going with my friend. So for friend, the word is mitra. Right? Mitra. So with mitra, with friend, I want to use it. So I need to know what is the root word for this mitra, and what is its lingam, and what is the declension table for that word. So mitra is a friend. In the meaning of friend, the mitra is a neuter word. It's an Napunsakalinga Shabda. So if it is an Napunsakalinga Shabda, what is the if I want to use it like this, by or with mitra, with friend, I want to use it. So then I need this Tritiya or the third case form. And because I want to use it in singular, because there is only one friend, so then I want to use, I specifically want this single Tritiya, the third case singular form. So it becomes mitrena. Mitrena. Any question, Shiva?
No, it sounds well so far.
Okay.
Sanjeev ji?
Yes.
So mitra is Pullinga, right?
Mitra is Napunsakalinga for a friend.
Napunsakalinga?
Yes, neuter.
Then why are we using the masculine table?
Yeah, good question. So because they are similar. Is it here? Yeah, this you can look at this one. Akaranta Napunsakalinga Phala Shabda. This is a neuter word which is ending in a, like mitra, and if you see, it is also similar to masculine word. That's why I'm sorry, I should have shown this one. But the form is the same between the masculine word and this neuter word if it is ending in a. Okay. The root word is ending in a. Except this prathama, that is first case, and this addressing and the second case, all the third case to seventh case, they are the same. They have the same form as the masculine table. That is why I just used the mitrena. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
On this table, right, like the case,
Sorry?
And in this table, in whichever declension table, like just for one example, like the case where you've written like prathama, right? First one I can read. Like the complicated ones, if you can just write below it in English.
Transliteration?
Yeah. First is prathama, then the second one you said is
Sambodhanam.
Sambodhana. Okay. Yeah, like if we can have the transliteration on this side. Tafat, I know, like.
Yeah. I'll do it because this I copied as an image from my other website, so I'll have to do that. I can't do it directly on this image.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I copied from my other the one
the first one.
The other table website I maintain from there.
Okay. Thank you.
I took the screenshot from there. Okay.
Sanjeevji, just a quick one. Rama Shabda, Palam and Mitram, they all end in short a. So the declension is the same as apart from the Pratama and the Dvitiya.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And Sambodhanam.
Yes. Okay.
All right. So let's take an example here. Like this is a sentence in English. Let's say, boy gives big book to his friend in the library on Sunday. Make sense? Grammatically? Right? Boy gives big book to his friend in the library on Sunday. Now, if we move around the words here, if we shuffle the words in this sentence in different order, how does it sound like? Can we shuffle the words here? For example, if I make it like big, I want to move first, like big boy. Big boy is a restaurant here. Big boy gives something library, Sunday, friend, on friend, something like that. So the meaning gets messed up, right? Or it may not mean anything at all sometimes. So one thing is that in case of English sentence or English language, yes, so there's very limited scope of moving around. So if we can't randomly move around the shuffle these words and put them in any order, and still it makes the same meaning. In some cases the meaning might change, in some cases it may not mean anything at all. But there is, to some extent, we may be able to move around, right? For example, we can move this to his friend together, all these three, right? Boy gives big book in the library on Sunday to his friend, right? That can be moved. In the library together can be moved around. Mostly. Sometimes that may not be possible also, but generally, like in the library, boy gives big book, and again on Sunday can be moved around, and big book can be moved around. Right? But this boy gives, I think, will remain here, but because we cannot move gives here, we cannot move gives anywhere else. Boy has to be there because boy is the subject of this sentence. Right? He is doing the action. So there are some rules in English as per the English grammar. But generally, like with this, the entire phrase here, to his friend, can be moved around, mostly to in some places. But if you take a Sanskrit sentence similar to this, what happens is, for boy we know balakaha. Let me send right here, balakaha. It's too big. Okay. Balakaha. For gives, there is a verb called dadati. I use dadati. There are other words also, but let's just use dadati here. Balakah dadati means balaka gives. And big book. Now big book we have, for book what is the word?
Pustaka.
Pustaka, and it is a neutral word. So pustakam. Another question here is, in English sentence, what is the order of the subject, object, and the verb? How does it flow generally? At least in this sentence, you can see here the boy, who is the subject of the action, or the subject in that sentence is in the beginning. So generally that is the order. So subject in the beginning, and then comes the verb, like gives. Boy does something. Boy reads, boy gives, boy runs, boy reads. If it needs an object, the subject needs an object. The action needs verb needs a. If it is a transitive verb, it needs an object word, which is book here. So boy gives book. He is giving book. He is giving what? He is giving book. Now to whom? That is the question. So to his friend. That is the phrase here. To his friend, together. In the library, where? Where? If you ask the question, in the library. Those are all optional. Like in the library is optional. To whom may be optional. But if he just gives, boy gives, definitely there will be a question what, like, because it is a transitive verb, gives. But the order is important here. Boy gives big book. Boy big book gives doesn't make sense. So boy, the first subject, and then the verb, and then the object. So that is the general order in the English sentence. But in Sanskrit sentence, generally, to keep it simple, the order would be the first the subject, then the object, then the verb. Verb generally comes at the end of a sentence, and subject in the beginning, and the verb, the kriyapadam or the verb, is at the very end, and in between there will be other words. So like balakaha is the subject, and then the dadati is the verb, which is at the end, and what is object word here, which is pustakam, which I'll be putting in between these two words here. So if this is a complete sentence, balakaha pustakam dadati. But if you look at this English sentence, boy gives the book, if you word to word, if you translate and put it in the same order, we have to put it like balakaha dadati pustakam, like, because this verb gives is dadati, and book, not the big, I have not included book big yet, but just book is pustakam. So pustakam, so how the order will be, balakaha dadati pustakam. So this is first, this is second, this is third, if you put in the same order. But if you so in the Sanskrit, we can still, even if we put it in the same in this order, 1, 2, 3, the meaning doesn't change. Generally, while speaking, the order will be like this: balakaha, the subject will be first, and the verb will be at the end of the sentence, and in between the other words, like the object word or the location where it is, the action is happening, etc. Those will come in between. That is simple that is for ease of understanding while speaking. However, it is common. It is very common in Sanskrit to shuffle this order even while speaking and writing. And in literature, this is mostly it is shuffled. But in while speaking also, it is very common to shuffle these orders, and it means the same thing. It means the same thing. Why? Because of this declension table here. Because of the declensions. Because case endings. This is inflectional. Inflectional language means the case endings are part of that word. So if you look at the English sentence here, where we have this to his friend. So friend is a different word, to is a different word, his is a different word. In the library, library is a different word, in is a different word. So it is difficult to move this around. And even if you want to move, then we'll have to move this all the three words together, which are related. But in Sanskrit, because the case endings are part of the word itself, so we don't. For example, library. For library, what is the word?
Pustakalaya.
Pustakalaya. Good. So pustakalaya is the word.
Granthalaya.
Granthalaya is also a word. That's also correct. Pustakalaya or Granthalaya, this is the root word. So we just use, we can't use the root word in the sentence first of all. So we need to use one of these forms. And because it is in the library, that's how we want to use it. In the library is where it is here, right? In the Saptami, in this seventh case. So because Pustakalaya, we are talking about one library, so we have to use the singular form, Ekavachana, this form. Okay? And Pustakalaya, we know that it is masculine, okay? Masculine word, like Rama, the same table will apply. So the form will become Pustakalaye. The last syllable here will change to A form, Pustakalaye. So the whole thing becomes one word now. So Pustakalaya is not different, A is not different. So this is the case ending, it becomes part of the word. So that is why, so this in the library, this whole thing becomes this one word here, Pustakalaya, in the library. So now it is easy to move around the whole thing. So if I say boy, Balakaha Dadati, that is, I'm writing it at the end as a convention. It doesn't matter if I put this anywhere also, but as a convention I just putting at the verb at the end. Balakaha Dadati, Pustakam Dadati, yes, Pustakam Dadati. So here Pustakam, what is the Pustakam? It is an object here. Balaka is the subject in the word, in the sentence, and Pustakam is the object. How do I know this is object? Because if I look at the declension table of the Pustaka, which will look like this. Because Pustaka is Akaranta Pullinga, Akaranta Napumsakalinga, like this. Phala. Phala is also Akaranta Napumsakalinga. Like Pustaka is also ending in a sound, and it is also neuter. And if I want to use it in object, as an object in the sentence, so, and it is singular, so the form will be like phalam. If it is a neuter ending word, so phalam, and that is the first case and second case forms will be same. So phalam and phalam, so like pustakam and pustakam. So even if it is in a sentence, pustakam is used as a subject, the form will be same, pustakam. If it is used an object, it will be same form, pustakam. Only by the context we'll know who is the subject and who is the object in a sentence, though the form might be same in some cases. In this case, for example, but if you look at Rama table, the first case form and the second case form, they are different in the singular. So there in the sentence will easily come to know. But if you are using the neuter word like phalam or pustakam, the first case and the second case, the forms are exactly same. So only by reading the sentence we'll be able to know whether it is a subject or an object. So in this case, let's continue this example. Balakaha dadati. Again, coming back to the sentence, boy gives. Now, pustaka, because the second case form, which is the object, is also the same form, pustakam. I'm using pustakam here. Balakaha pustakam dadati. Balaka gives book. Now, in the library, we just now saw that we can use pustakalaye, one word, with the case ending. So because this is with the case ending and this whole thing is included in this pustakalaye, now we can put this pustakalaye anywhere. But compare this in English. Boy gives to his friend on Sunday. Boy gives big book to his friend on Sunday in the library. Might make sense, but if you put that in the library in the beginning, boy in the library, boy gives big book to his friend, might make sense. But boy in the library gives big book to his friend on Sunday also makes sense. But when writing, I think in English you need to give some punctuation mark there. Boy in the library, like this, right? Boy in the library gives big book to his friend. If you don't put a quotation mark, then this might mean different, like boy in the library. So is the boy in the library or the action is happening in the library? So that may be confusing there. But in this case, Sanskritam, because of this inclusion, it is convenient. So because this is always all the words, they always are associated with the verbs here. So pustakalaye, the action is happening in the action is happening in this pustakalaye, in the library. Balakaha pustakam dadati. Where? Pustakalaye. So pustakalaye can come anywhere. Pustakalaye balakaha pustakam dadati. Balakaha pustakalaye pustakam dadati. Balakaha pustakam pustakalaye dadati. Balakaha pustakam dadati pustakalaye. Pustakalaye maybe at the end also. It doesn't matter. So in most cases, this shuffling in Sanskrit sentence works fine, except if there are multiple words with the same case ending, then we need to be careful there. Any questions so far? No. Okay. Now a little bit about the verbs in Sanskrit language. Just like the nouns have this table, declension table, where there are 24 forms. So in 3 numbers, each verb also has its own table. And it is a bit more complicated here in terms of verbs. Complicated in the sense it has more forms because of the or more multiple tables are there. A verb can have multiple tables because of the tenses. So in present tense, this is a table for one of the verbs. So the table here, each table, as you see here, has 9 forms. The verb has 9 forms here. So what are the forms here? Actually, only this form. So this Ramaha, what is in the parenthesis is shown just for the reference. Example there of the noun. This is a noun used with that verb form. But the actual verb form is only the one which is outside the parenthesis. So asti, staha, santi, asi, sthaha, stha, asmi, swaha, smaha. So if you want, I can write the transliteration here. If you want. Like asti, staha, santi. Right. So each verb table has the 9 forms, and again there are 3 columns similar to the noun table. Noun table also had 3 forms, 3 columns. Each column was for one particular gender. Right? First column was for ekavachanam, singular. Second column was for dual. Third column is for plural. Similarly, in the verbs also, first column is singular, second column is dual, third column is plural. However, the rows here, the lines here, they are a little bit different here. They are called purusha. They are identified by the purusha, not a number in just like here there was a number like prathama is first, ditya is second, tritiya is third. But in this case, prathama purusha is first person. Purusha means actually person. In English also you have got first person, second person, third person. So here we have prathama purusha, first person. Madhyama purusha means actually middle. Madhyama is middle. Uttama is good. Good is uttama. So good person. So that is the literal meaning. But these are the actually grammatical terms. Prathama purusha, madhyama purusha, uttama purusha. First person. So you can think like this as the first and middle and the last one. So where are these used? Like how are these used in combination with the nouns? So let's start with this uttama purusha form here. So in the ekavachanam singular form, uttama purusha, the form is asmi, and this is always used with I. So whenever I word is there in a sentence and the action is being performed by that I, means myself. I am doing that action. I am giving the book. I am going somewhere. I am reading a book. In that case, always this uttama purusha ekavachana form is used because I am the only one person doing it. I, but I is a must there. I has to be there in order to use this form. But if we are two of us, we are doing the work or the action in the sentence, then this Uttama Purusha Dvivachana form is used, this form. And if many of us, we are doing the action, then this form, Uttama Purusha Bahuvachana, plural form is used. Similarly, this, if you, in the sentence you is there, you means is not me but you is there in the sentence, actually you is in the sentence, you are doing the work or the action, you are going, you are reading. In that case, Madhyama Purusha form has to be used depending on the number. Ekavachana, singular. If there are two of you doing the work or the action, then this form is used. And if many of you are doing the action, then this Madhyama Purusha Bahuvachana form is used. So other than I and you, other than I or you, I means I also includes, in the plural it will be we, in the you plural is you only. So other than this I, you, we, other than these, if anybody else is doing the action, then always Prathama Purusha is used. Prathama Purusha. So this is the general rule. So let me stop. Any question? So it is actually simple. If you look, if you have the reference, these tables, the both for the noun, this kind of a table, declension table, and the verb, it's verb table. If you have these forms with you, then it will be easy to construct a sentence in Sanskrit. So if you take a noun first, so somebody is doing the work. So suppose Balakaha is doing the work, right? So Balaka is doing the work. So you look at the declension table of that word. So Balaka, like is Rama, it's Akaranta Pullinga. It's ending in A and is Pullinga. So then because it is a subject, and it is singular, we use this for Ramaha, like Ramaha, it will be Balakaha. Then you look at the verb table. Verb table. So verb table says, so now because it is Balakaha is the subject, right? Balaka is the subject in the sentence. Balaka is the subject in the sentence. And according to the subject, we use the number of the verb also. So this, because Balaka is singular, we have to use the singular form of the action, because the verb has to match, the number of the verb has to match the number of the subject. So we use, for example, that Dadati, for example. Dadati we used because that is the Ekavachanam, singular form of the verb. So if you have the table of the Kriyapadam or the verb, and the table will show all these 9 forms, then you will have to pick which form you have to use. Because Balaka is not I, is not you, then because Balaka is somebody else, then you will have to pick this form. Okay? And this is for a different root, different verb. But if you look at the table for the root word called da. Da is the root word for the root verb for the dadati. So if you look at that, you will see that for the prathama purusha ekavachana, the form will be dadati. Okay, this form. For prathama purusha ekavachana, the form will be dadati. So you pick that form and just use it in a sentence. So balakah dadati. So if you are giving something, aham, so then you have to use aham. Aham means I. Aham. Then if you look at the verb table of the root verb da, then what is written here? What is the form? Uttama purusha ekavachana. So the form will be dadami. So you just pick that form and use it.
Dadami.
Dadami. So pick that form and use it. Dadami. So it is simple. It's not that complicated. So forming a sentence or understanding a sentence is not complicated. It might take some time, but if you have the tables with you, there are many table books are available, online references are available, etc. So you just see what form is the this noun first, the subject basically, and what form is this, and look at the table of that verb, and they have to match the subject, basically the subject, the number of the subject and the number of the verb, number of the noun which is subject and the number of the verb has to match. Ekavachana, ekavachana, dvivachana, dvivachana. Okay. For example, okay, that was one thing. And secondly, note that the verb in the verb forms, verbs do not have gender. Only the nouns have the genders. So that way it is simpler. So we don't have to worry about the gender while using the verb. So whether we are in the Ramaha is the subject, or Phalam is the subject, or the Nadi, which is a Strilinga, is the subject. So it doesn't matter. So the form of the verb will remain same. Only thing we need to think is about the vachanam, or the number, whether singular, plural, or dual. So one of the three numbers we have to use.
Sanjiti,
Yeah.
why is it dadami and not dami?
Yeah. Because of the word, because of how the verbs are, different verbs have different forms. So that's Jessica, her second question.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So da is the root word there, and just briefly it's saying that the different verbs have different forms, and the root verbs, they are divided into 10 groups of root verb. They are called, root verb is called dhatu. So there are 10 groups of dhatu. So depending on which group it falls, it takes a certain form. Okay. So this da falls in the third group, group number 3. So these have this peculiar form, very special form. So it doubles. Da becomes dadami, dadati, that doubles. It is just not dadami, because it belongs to the third group of the dhatus out of 10 groups.
Okay, thank you.
Is it just the ending that changes?
Ending in
like
what?
like the ending of the verb, like say for the first line, it would be the dasti,
Dadati. No,
Dadataha.
dadati.
No, dadati.
Hmm.
Dadataha.
No.
Dadanti.
Yeah,
No.
we can't actually generalize like that. So, yeah, we need to look at the group first, and then look at how those verb forms looks like. So
each one will
dadati is
have a chart.
dadati is little bit complicated for other forms. Dadati, dadataha, dadati. So that's how it sounds like. Dadati, dadataha, dadati. So
Can you use for this verb just give us say for each line like the conjugate it here.
yeah,
Just say like if you can just say it.
Let's not start with dadati. Let's not start with the complicated one first. Okay. Let's start with patati first. We are all studying. So patati. Let's start with patati. So, this asti I have used here. Asti falls in the second group of the 10 groups of dhatus. So it is also not simple, a little bit complicated. Because asti means is, right? Exist. We have already used asti like everywhere in our sentences. Balakah asti, pustakam asti, like that. That's why I just wanted to show this example here of this table with asti. So if there are two Ramas are there, for example, two Ramas or two boys. So what will be the form for boys in the Dvivachanam dual? Two boys.
Balakau. Balakau.
Balakau. So Balakau, take the Balakau and now combine that with this. If you want to say they are there, two boys are there. So we use this form, right? Balakau staha. Balakau staha. So, but this
Balakau tatra staha.
Balakau tatra staha there. Yeah. And if there are more than three or more, then balakaha. Like here we have Ramaha, similar to that, balakaha. So balakaha, so what happens there in the here we need to use this form. Balakaha santi. Balakaha tatra santi. Balakaha atra santi. We have to use this form. So I just use this asti, staha, santi because they'll be useful for us generally. But this as itself, this is a root word or dhatu. It falls in the second group, which are not very easy. They have some peculiar special forms. But simple one, which if we are going to study the verbs first, I mean whenever we start studying the verbs, or whenever anyone starts studying the verbs, then they start with this, something like this, simple like pathati, which are simple forms, like pathati, right? Then we have pathataha. These are easy. These have certain like predictable forms, like pathataha, pathanti, because these fall in this first group. There is a first out of 10 groups. This patha is the root word here, or dhatu. This falls in the first group. So first group is easy, or they have the predictable form. Like, so pathati, pathataha, pathanti. Then we have pathasi. So that's how it looks like for the verbs which belong to first group, and mostly this is to a great extent not only for the beginners, even in general, this first group forms of the first group is good enough to understand. If you understand that, about 60-70% of the verbs are covered actually, the forms, so it is easy, and we should be able to use these verbs which are in the first group in many places, most of the places, without any problem. And they have the simple consistent regular forms, these predictable forms like pathati, pathatha, pathanti, pathasi, pathatha, patatha, pathami, pathavaha, patamaha. The forms. So whenever there is a balaka is reading, one boy is reading, so it becomes balakaha pathati, balakaha pathataha, balakau pathataha, balakaha pathanti. So, and then if it is you, then if you want to use this form, then it has to be always tvam. This word has to be there, tvam. Other than the tvam, nothing else can be used with pathasi. And same thing with you, yuvam. Tvam means you in Sanskrit. Yuvam means you too. So if you're going to use pathatha, then yuvam word must be there. Without the yuvam, we can't use pathatha. And similarly, yuyam means you all or many of you. That's pathatha. So yuyam, only with the yuyam word, pathatha, this form can be used. Same thing with aham. Only with aham, this pathami can be used. With ava means we two of us. Pathava can be used. And with vayam means we, many of us. Pathamaha can be used with nothing else, only with vayam. So for the dadati, okay, now we might ask, dadati is to give. So how am I going to, if it is complicated, then how am I going to use that? But there is another alternate verb we can use called yacha. Yachati, that also give. So this is in the first group, which follows similar pattern, right? Similar to pathati. Yeah, Jessica, can you say that this yachati in this like patati, patata, patanti in that form?
Yachati. Is singular or plural? Yachati.
Huh?
Yachati is singular or plural?
Singular. Yachati is singular, like patati.
Okay. Okay. Yachati. Yachataha.
Yachataha. So only this last, this T you have to remove, the last part, and here, because like patha, here only the last part is changing, right? Here pathati and patataha, pathanti, like that. For yach also, you'll have to keep changing only the last part here. Yeah, you're right. Yachataha. And after that?
Yachanti.
Yes, yachanti. So if many people are giving something, then yachanti you can give. Yachati means give. Somebody is giving. Yachati. So if one person is giving, so we use that yachati. Balakaha pustakam yachati. So boy is giving the book. And if there are two boys, then we use balakau pustakam yachataha. And balakaha. If there are many boys, then we use balakaha. And pustakam can remain same. Yachanti. Balakaha pustakam yachanti. That is the plural form. Good. And okay, Karuna, can you try this?
Well,
Madhyama Purusha.
I think I have to do a bit of study on this one. It's quite complex.
Which one? No, you'll have to just replace this last letter, last part, with this last part which is in here, patasi. You'll have to remove that patha and replace the h. Do you want me to write it in transliteration?
Yes. Patasi.
पेज नंबर 137 के पहले पैरा में 137 के पहले पैरा में पेज नंबर 137 के पहले पैरा में
Can you read it now?
पेज नंबर 137
Yeah.
So I was writing here also. So here we are trying to identify the
There's a
pattern.
lot of noise. Can somebody mute, please? There's a lot of noise. Can somebody mute, please?
No, that is Karuna. She is trying.
Oh,
That-
might be the fans in the background.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's very hot here.
Karuna, so yachati. So this is transliteration becomes yacha.
Yeah, yachati. So,
So now what we are trying to do, we are trying to make this yachati follow the same pattern as pathati. Pathati, pathataha, pathanti, which Jessica just completed the first line here, right? She completed first line. Like patati, similar to that, this is yachati is there.
okay. So yach patati, yach patasi,
Yes.
yach
Yachati.
patami.
No.
Huh?
Say that again. Say the first one.
Yach patati.
No.
नहीं आप
And the second one is yach
Hold on. So,
patasi.
Vivekananda, can you try?
Background noise.
Okay, I'll mute.
Yachataha.
Yeah.
Yachasi, yachataha, yachata, yachami, yachavaha, yachamaha.
Yeah. So Karuna and others note that what happened here is this patha C has two parts in it. So one is that patha and then there is a C at the end. So and in pathati also there are two parts, patha and then there is ti at the end. So what? So because this yachati also has two parts in it, right? Yacha and there is ti. So patha and there is ti in patati, and there is yacha and ti in yachati, and similarly the pathataha will change to yachataha because pathataha has two parts in it, patha plus taha. So this taha we are changing, sorry, taha we are keeping and changing this patha to yacha. We are replacing patha with yacha, yachataha. Okay. Yachataha. So similarly, this pathanti has two parts, patha plus there is anti, anti only, anti, patha plus anti. So just we are replacing patha with yacha. Okay. We are not adding yacha behind patha. It is not yacha patanti. We are replacing patha with yacha. So yachanti, it becomes yachanti. So similar thing we have to do, similar operation we have to do for other forms also. Like here pathasi has two parts in it, patha and si. And we have to replace this patha with yacha. So it becomes yachasi. Yeah. So the form becomes yachasi, right? And same thing with others also, like pathatha is there, two parts, so it becomes yachatha, and pathatha is there, this becomes yachatha. And here pathami, here there is patha and there is ami is there, it is not pathami, so there is ami, patha and ami is there. Okay? So in place of path again we have to use yacha. So similar to this pattern, it becomes yachami. Okay? Yachami. Yachami means I give or I am giving. Yachami. And what happens if it is a dual? Two of us are giving yachavaha. Yachavaha. And the last one is yachamaha. So the verb roots which fall in this first group of dhatus, they follow this simple pattern of this patati, like this patati patata, like we saw it yacha. But when we look at other verbs later, then we'll practice these things. This is not the end of it. This I just wanted to today. I was just wanted to give an overview of how the noun forms, how they can be joined or associated with corresponding their forms of their verbs. So they all depend on the vachanam. If you look at the vachanam and look whether who is performing the action, whether it is I, you, or somebody else other than I or you. So if it is I, use one of these forms in this line. If it is you, use one of these forms in this line. If it is other than I or you, we need to use one of the forms in the first line. Does that make sense, Karuna?
So what verb are we using?
No, the formation of yacha that we discussed. So, do you understand, like, why is it yachati?
Yes,
Similar to patati, it is yachati.
Yeah. So, patami.
Huh?
I don't know what you want me to do.
No. I'm just asking what I explained. Does that make sense? Is it clear?
Yes. No, that's clear, yes.
Alright, so for any other questions?
The observation I have here is with the Uttama Purusha. that the verb here is lengthened. You have an extra R.
Yeah.
And all the three Ekvachan, Dvivachan, and Bahuvachan at the bottom with the Uttama Purusha. The rest is no problem with the rest. Only the bottom part here is all lengthened, the dhatu.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like you are saying, that extra I is needed here. Correct. Patami, patava, patama is correct. Note that it is not the case with all the verbs in Sanskrit. But as you see here, it is just me. There is no A here. Right? So this patami, patava, patam, this addition of A comes in the Uttama Purusha, where for the verbs which are in the certain groups. Group 1 is one of them.
That will be the verb in the third gana. Which gana, these verbs will come into when they have the elongation in the Uttama Purusha.
Yeah, most of them have like that. So the second gana is has weird forms. This second gana is like us.
Okay. Thanks.
And there are some other forms, but we'll look at the details one by one later. There are other forms also. Ramaha. Now, we are going to begin the study or practice these noun forms one by one, mostly. And then in between also we'll take a look at some of the simple verb forms, like which are used in the present tense, past tense, etc. Now, to begin the study of the nouns, we already know the first case, right? The Prathama Vibhakti, because the words we studied in the long list of slides, they were all in the Prathama Vibhakti. When we say Saha Balakaha, Saha Parvataha, Saha Suryaha, Sa Petika, Sa Nadi, Sa Vaidya, and Tat Pustakam, Tat Gruham, Tat Jalam. So all of them were in the Prathama Vibhakti or the first case form. Now we are going to move to other forms also, other case endings. For that we are going to start with the Shashti Vibhakti. We will not go in order of this 1, 2, 3, 4, because some of the Vibhakti or the case endings here are more useful in everyday use than others. So for that purpose we are going to first pick Shashti or the sixth case ending and practice some words in the Shashti Vibhakti, that sixth case ending, with some simple sentences. So the first one here is, as you look at this table here, Shashti Vibhakti of Rama or Akaranta Pullingi is Ramasya, which is Prathama Vibhakti Ekavachanam. Dvivachanam and Bahuvachanam also we will see, but later. First focus on the Ekavachanam singular form, which is Ramaha. If it is Prathama Vibhakti, then we are adding Sya to the root word of that Ramaha. For the Ramaha root word is Rama. We know that because that is Akaranta Pullinga is written here. So to that root word, if we add Sya, it becomes Shashti Vibhakti Ekavachana form, or the sixth case singular form, Rama plus Sya, Ramasya. Also we had seen the word, we have studied the word Kaha. Kaha Balakaha, Saha Kaha. Kaha means what is the meaning of Kaha? who, right? Who.
Who.
So when we ask sahakaha, sahaka means who is that in the muscular sense, if it's a muscular gender. So sahakaha, who. So in this case also, the ka changes to kasya in the shashti vibhakti or the sixth case form. Sixth case always means belongs to. If you look at the declension table and the general meaning of that case, shashti means of Rama. Of Rama means something belongs to Rama. So pustakam, suppose a book belongs to Rama. Rama's book, that's what we want to say, Rama's book. Then we are going to use this form, shashti ekavachanam if it is singular. So what happens here is Ramasya pustakam. Right? Ramasya pustakam. What does this mean? Ramasya means what?
It belongs to Rama.
Yeah, Ramasya, we know that of Rama. Ramasya is of Rama.
The book of Ram?
Yes, book of Rama. And because of is already included in this case ending, this can be before pustakam or after pustakam. So you can say of book Rama, that if in English, or book of Rama, or Rama's book. But if you put Rama's at the after book, then it may not make much meaning there. But here, because the case ending is inside or attached to that root word, then it can be anywhere. Ramasya pustakam, pustakam Ramasya. It is fine. So pustakam, what is the case ending for this pustakam in this example? Pustakam is a neuter word. Napumsakalinga shabda, pustaka. And pustakam.
That's the objective case, dvitiya, the object. Pustakam is in the second case ending.
What is the kriyapadam? What is the verb in this?
The Ramasya pustakam, that means the book of Ram, or Ram's book.
Yeah, what is the kriyapadam? What is the verb in this sentence?
Asti.
Asti. Asti is not written, but it is always assumed. If nothing is written, you can assume asti. Ramasya pustakam asti. So what is the meaning of asti?
Is.
Is, or exists, or is. So Rama's book is there, or it exists. So here, action is or existing. So what is existing? Who is the subject? Who is doing the existing action?
The book, right?
Yeah, book. Yeah, book is doing the existing action. So book is prathama vibhakti here, because book is the subject. Because book is doing that action. Book is doing the action of existing.
So book is in the first case. Pratama.
Yes, first case. Because if you look at the declension of pustakam, which is like this, right? Phalam. Pratama, first case. First case is pustakam. So Ramasya pustakam asti. In that case, pustakam is prathama, first case. Because asti, for that the subject is pustakam. Okay, I think we're up with the time. Any questions so far?
Sanjeevji, that sentence we were doing before, the Balaka Pustakalaya Pustakam Dadati, can you just complete that whole sentence with the Mitra and the Sunday?
Sunday, yeah. Balakaha now the verb is dadati. We already you can use yachati also, that is fine, or dadati. Balakaha dadati kim dadati? Pustakam dadati. Pustakam dadati. Sorry. Now, what else we want to add here?
The Pustakalaya, the Mitra.
In the library, let's say Pustakalaya or Granthalaya. Now, on Sunday, in Sanskritam, that also will be in the same vibhakti, like Saptami or seventh case. For Sunday, we have Ravivachara. Ravivachara is Sunday. So I put Ravivachare. Yes. Ravivachara means Sunday, and because I want to use the same seventh case, I'll just use Ravivachare. So, Pustakalaye Ravivachare dadati, Pustakam dadati. Now, what else remaining? To his friend. Friend is Mitra. And because this action of dadati is going to Mitra, I use the fourth case. Mitraya. Mitraya. Because the action, the benefit is going to the friend. Balakaha pustakam mitraya pustakalaya ravivachare dadati. Now comes the, what is remaining now?
Big.
Big. Now big, I will use a new word called bruhat.
Vishal or something, you think?
Vishal is like a, you can use Vishal also. Vishal is usually for like a, where the area is big. Like, so, Balakaha bruhat pustakam dadati. This is the sentence. So, bruhat is the word ending which ends in a Vyanjanam or a consonant. And it has its own declension table. And here it is used as an adjective to pustakam. Because it is an adjective, it is in the same lingam, same gender, and same case. So pustakam is second case here, and bruhat is also in second case here. So this is the complete sentence. Balakaha bruhat pustakam mitraya pustakalaye ravivachare dadati. Okay.
Thank you. There's a lot to have to study and sink in this class.
Yeah. I mean, yes. The main thing, I mean, don't worry too much about. That was not my intention about confusing the things. I just wanted to, in the beginning here, I just wanted to show these tables, one verb table and one declension table, and how they can be associated. We are going to study these one by one, but just as an outset, we can know that the subject in a sentence, there will be a verb. In Sanskrit sentence, the verb is the central part, it is the heart of a sentence, and around the verb all the words are constructed. Now the verb, if it is in a singular, if it is ekavachanam, and it depends on the subject or who is doing that action, both that the number of the performer, the subject, and the number of the verb form has to match. That was the thing I wanted to show. And the verb forms do not have genders. They do not have lingam. Only the nouns have the lingam. And the subject in a sentence will be in the first case. Mostly. Again, there are other forms which we'll look at them later. But in general, in simple sentence, subject of a action in a sentence will be in the first case, prathama vibhakti.
No, I mean, it's very interesting. It's not that it's just we have to take time and do the study, but it is very interesting, and you do a great job at your explanations, and thank you for that.
Astu, dhanyavadah, namaskara.
Namaskara, Sanjay.
We'll meet again next week.
Thank you.
Namaskara.
Thank you.